Hello, and thank you for joining us here at Maths with El Profe Lo. We're doing some elementary number theory and working a little bit with Wilson's theorem. Okay, and our next practice is to find the least non-negative residue of 2 times 100 factorial mod 103. Okay, so what can we say here? Well, we can say that by Wilson's theorem, we know that 102 factorial is going to be equivalent to negative 1 mod 103 because 103 is prime. Okay, now what can we do with this? Well, we're going to have to try and figure out how we can rearrange 102 factorial so that it is like 2 times 100 factorial. Well, here's what we can do. Okay, we know that 102 factorial is equal to 102 times 101 times 100 factorial. Right? And I need to get a 2 in here as well, so I'm going to divide 102 by 2, and I can say that this is going to be 2 times 51 times 101 times 100 factorial. Right? That 102 factorial is the same as 102 times 101 times 100 factorial, which is the same as 2 times 51 times 101 times 100 factorial. Right? Which then means that I have 2 times 100 factorial times 51 times 101. And that's going to be my 102 factorial. Okay. Now, furthermore, 51 times 101 is the same as 51 times 103 minus 2. All right. 51 is the same, 101 is the same as 103 minus 2. So this is going to give me 51 times 103 minus 51 times 2. Right? But what's 51 times 2? 51 times 2 is 102, if I'm not mistaken, right? 51 times 2 is 102. Right? So what does this tell me? Well, this tells me the following, that 51 times 101 is equivalent to 1 mod 103, and the reason being is 51 times 103 is going to be equal to 0, and then here we have negative 51 times 2, which is the same as, all right, we can say that this is going to be equivalent to 0 minus negative 1 mod 103, because we know that 51 times 2 is 102, and 102 is negative 1 mod 103. All right? So this is useful for us because what does this tell us? That 51 times 101 is 1 mod 103. Well, this gives us this little piece of information. All right? So what does that mean? 102 factorial is going to be equivalent to 2 times 100 factorial. Right? Going to have 2 times 100 factorial and times 1 mod 103. Okay? Right, so then what's the next step in this? What's the next step in what I would have for this? Right, well, the next step in what I would have here is to say, well, 102 factorial is, by Wilson's theorem, equivalent to negative 1. Right, so therefore, 2 times 100 factorial is equivalent to negative 1 mod 103, but I want this to be the least non-negative, right? So this implies that 2 times 100 factorial is actually going to be equivalent to 102 mod 103. And that is our work using Wilkerson's theorem. All right, thank you for taking the time to do some math with us at Maths with El Profe Lo. As always, if you have questions, please do reach out.